Ooh, rage boiling, anger mounting, because today I'm so furious we're covering Mystery Men!
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk, we talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Oh, whew.
I'm worried about you, man.
Whew, did I get that vein?
You're like bright red.
I get a super veiny forehead when I get angry.
I see a vein like over here.
No, usually it's like right here.
No, not today.
Not today.
Not today.
I can turn red real quick.
You did it just now. You showed us all.
Yeah, that's my superpower. It's just turning beet red.
Better or worse power than becoming furious?
And not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hey, everybody!
Okay.
Welcome to Guilty Movie Pleasures. If this is your first time watching us, thanks for checking it out. We hope you stick around for the whole 45 minutes and don't troll us. And if you do troll us, whatever. And if, and if this is your 148th time watching us, thanks for coming back. I'm Ben Begley, your host, and with me as always is...
Jesse McIntosh.
Yes, the king of cool over there. Channing Tatum's doppelganger himself.
Man, it's Jesse McIntosh.
Great with the sound.
I liked it. Yeah, I liked it.
So today, let's just get right into it. We're covering Mystery Men. Before I say, because I always go first, I'm going to let you go first, Jesse.
Oh, interesting.
I'm going to try. I didn't even tell you I was going to do this.
No, you didn't.
No, so I'm just. This is what we call throwing my co-host under the bus. You'd never.
That's where I live, man. I live under the bus. I thrive down here, just so you know. Yeah, hell yeah. That's two.
Two for Jesse so far. All right, damn it. I got to catch up. So, did you know anything about this? I know you haven't seen it.
I hadn't seen it.
Did you know anything about it?
I knew a little bit about it. I feel like I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I knew it was like in the Ben Stiller sweet spot. I feel like Ben Stiller was
like the Zoolander
was like
era?
yeah, like a big deal. Meet the Parents, etc.
Yep.
And that was more or less what I knew about it. I knew that it was it was like a ragtag group. So I had like pieces of it, nothing instrumental.
Did you know
but
it's
I knew little
based
pieces
on
of it.
the side characters of a real comic book?
I did not know that. No.
Apparently, there's this like comedy comic book called The Flaming Carrot.
Okay.
And the Mystery Men are like a sub superhero group of that world.
And they never made the Flaming Carrot?
Captain Amazing is a made-up character to replace the Flaming Carrot.
Oh, okay.
I thought that would be. I read some stuff before today's show.
Interesting.
I got some other tidbits on my phone. I can't remember right now. But
Can I tell you why I didn't read anything before this show? Because it is too dark under the bus. And I need light. I don't want to strain my eyes.
So, having known nothing really, except it was in Ben Stiller's sweet spot.
Yeah.
What were your expectations versus what you got out of it?
It was pretty much what I expected.
Yeah.
It was like a mix of slapstick and I think
a mixed bag.
Yeah, Ben Stiller I think does an underrated job of like very sincere and small comedy. And in that era, in that time, he tended to do more of like the big stuff.
Yeah.
But I really love Ben Stiller's like small, more focused, more like personal comedy. And he like it was mixed in this movie. Like there was a lot of like big giant like type things. But I think what really worked and I think what really like drove the movie was like the small, like when he fumbles over words or when he I don't know, that's like I
have one of those clips.
The biggest example that but there are like a bunch of moments where he's just like a person and he's just like a fool, and those are very effective and very funny.
One of my favorite jokes, even though it's physical humor, it's a sight gag, but to me it's a subtle one, is when he has the bloody tissue in his nose and he laughs and it flings and goes into the donation coin slot.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it hitting that exactly is absurd, but it makes me laugh every time I've seen it because it's such a human moment to look like an idiot in front of a girl you're flirting with.
Right.
And it fits his character. But also, I read on IMDb, they were saying that Hank Azaria said in an interview that a lot of the cast argued constantly during the movie about the tone of the comedy.
Yeah, you could feel that for sure. Like it was, there was a battle of wills going on.
Like I'd say Hank Azaria is the most over the top.
Yes.
And then Ben Stiller somewhere in the middle, and then William H. Macy is very dry.
Is just like a regular human being.
Regular dude, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Geoffrey Rush is basically one step closer to being the pirate in
Right.
Pirates of the Caribbean, Blackbeard or whoever he played. I can't remember.
Yes.
Those movies are all a blur to me now. Barbosa, thank you. Again, Ryan sounds so much more intimidating on the microphone. It's like, Barbosa.
Yeah, producer Ryan in the booth.
Listen, producer Ryan's in the booth, all right?
It's because he fights people in the booth.
He does.
He just has
you know
constant
what it
fist
is?
fights in
He's
there.
arm wrestling the
Yeah.
entire time. So the whole time he's flexing and he's arm wrestling.
Just answering
Over the top.
questions. Yeah.
Anyways, so what you enjoyed it even though it's a mixed bag? Or
I
was
thought,
your,
I thought there were some funny moments. I don't think I ever like laughed out loud necessarily, but there were definitely like a few moments sprinkled in where I was like, that was better than the other moments. I think generally as a framework, it's a fun thing to play with. I don't know. Like the problem for me was something that I've already articulated was that Ben Stiller's power is not a power. Like
None
I
of theirs
didn't
are-
understand really.
Yeah.
Hank Azaria at least like can throw
Yeah.
things. And I guess William H. Macy is proficient with shovel use.
Which you can tell he learned like one sweet move and just does it. It's like this.
At least they have weapons and they like do stuff, but Ben Stiller, who is the main guy, doesn't
Janine
seem to have anything.
Garofalo has a supernatural bowling ball with her father's skull. So there's like all kinds of tonal shifts that happen in this movie
Right.
where I don't know if this movie is existing in a supernatural world or a grounded one. It starts off in a grounded one.
Oh, and we haven't
then
even
it gets
mentioned
bonkers.
Paul Rubens, who is like
Explain.
brutal.
Hey guys, listen. All right.
It was so brutal.
See, I thought it was fun.
I thought it was awful. I like wanted
I thought
to
he was-
eliminate his entire presence from the movie from my memory.
Guys, why you always
Oh,
keeping
so
me
awful.
out?
And then his power is flatulence, which
so
is just
dumb.
like
It's so
so
dumb.
just like adolescent.
This movie to me is kind of a quintessential example of where comedy was in the early 90s, and somehow this continued on to 99 when this movie came out. Like the idea that fart jokes are still hilarious, and that there's my biggest issue with this movie is it's too long. It's 2
it
hours.
was way too long.
It's
yeah.
2 hours. If it was 90 minutes, I'd be fine
It was
with it.
excruciating. They went back to the like castle a couple of different times.
Yeah.
It's like why?
Yeah,
Why didn't we just handle this the first
If
time?
this was 90 minutes long, it would have been awesome. I loved the first hour when I was watching it, and we were talking a little bit before the show. I think that Ben Stiller and Greg Kinnear hold up this movie for me with the comedy. Hank Azaria is funny, but sometimes he gets a little on my nerves with the accent and overdoing it. He's still funny, and I love Hank Azaria as an actor, but there's moments where I'm just a little, Paul Rubens I thought was pretty funny, even though I think the joke is stupid. And Janine Garofalo has some great dry humor moments, but the bowling ball thing is such an out of left field weird thing that comes up.
Yeah.
That until that moment everything seems grounded, and even all the shitty superheroes that come over are all like realistic people with terrible abilities, and then
it's-
suddenly she's like, I have my father's skull on a bowling ball and it has a mind of its own and talks to me, and you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty hard to know whether these are actual superheroes or whether they're just people who learned a skill.
Yeah.
And hers and the guy who like cut through the guns, I forget what his name was.
Cut through the guns.
Yeah, basically like the Riddler, the guy who was like
the Sphinx.
Yeah.
How did he do that? They never explain. And then
Don't know, and he never does it again. It was just like a one time. I'm gonna help you out right now, and then I'm just gonna try and motivate you with my riddles.
yeah.
But like the two of them had supernatural powers, and then Kel Mitchell like couldn't control it. He just became invisible, which meant he lost his clothes. I guess we'll go through all this.
Yeah.
But like there were just so many things where I was like, I don't know what to believe about this world.
Yeah.
Are these superheroes, or are they just people who like are vigilantes fighting for justice, or like fighting for the limelight? Really.
The whole movie comes to a grinding halt for me once Greg Kinnear dies. I could have watched an entire movie of Greg Kinnear being Captain Amazing and not getting kidnapped right away and just always stealing the limelight from these heroes. Like, just make it more about them battling the guy who's the superstar, you know?
Sure.
Because I think Greg Kinnear is hilarious.
He's great, yeah.
And the concept of a superhero having like a NASCAR sponsorship amount of shit all over him is hilarious to me. Like, when he finds out he's losing his Pepsi endorsement. So that's why, like, the first hour I think is really funny. And there's moments in the second hour I really like. But even when they kill Greg Kinnear in it on accident with the psycho factor or whatever it's called, I don't even know.
Sure.
When they kill him with that, it's super funny at first because you're like, oh my god, they just killed the main superhero.
Yeah.
But then they don't even react to it really. They just kind of move on. And they're like, well, you did kill... I didn't kill him. I flipped the wrong switch. You know, that's a pretty good...
That was not bad.
I am the Blue Raja, all right? And if you know your history, you'd know that this is right. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a smile on my face for most of the movie till like the 90-minute mark when I was like, oh my god, this should be over by now. But all in all, I remember liking it more when I saw it, but when it came out.
Yeah.
But there was some nostalgia to be had. But it did make me remember, like, oh yeah, there's some really stupid jokes back in the 90s.
Yeah. I just remembered my favorite part of the movie, which I don't know if you have the clip for it, but when Ben Stiller goes back to apologize to like the group in the field, and William H. Macy comes and meets him, and they have that interaction about his like calendar or whatever, and he's like, hey, have you seen my calendar? And he's like, what does it look like? He's like, it's denim.
See, that kind of stuff's hilarious.
That whole interaction was so small and like a real interaction. That was so funny to me.
Yeah.
And
I didn't
like,
pull that clip. Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh, that's okay. I gave it to you just now. But then when he's like on top of the car, being like, "I'm furious," and like banging on the car, I was like, "All right." Like,
see, I liked when he's trying to pick off the hood ornament. He's like, "This is the worst."
Yeah.
I think that what you could say is they've already made a better version of this with Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2. Like, this to me is kind of like a 90s goofy version of what then became.
But this is what I'm talking about. Isn't Kick-Ass, doesn't he not have superpowers?
No,
he's just like a dude, right?
He's just a dude with clubs.
Yeah, so I think
ass whooped.
I wish that they had just like decided. And it seems like they're trying to say that these are superheroes, but our three main guys do not have superpowers.
No.
It doesn't seem.
What else kind of threw me off is once we get into the weapons are so ridiculous that I'm like, what the what?
Yeah.
I wish they would have just kept it grounded. But there's still a lot of fun to be had. So let's get into this with the plot in under 3 minutes. Are you ready in the booth there, Ryan?
I am all set, you guys.
All right. Okay, count us down.
I'll count you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So we start off with the world's craziest old folks party, where it's just like bonkers, and you know a lot of them are banging after this with that Viagra, am I right?
No doubt.
Weird little side note there. Anyway, so these guys with red eyes come in, and it starts looking like a Joel Schumacher Batman movie mixed with like Terry Gilliam. They're all robbing everybody, and then the mystery men come in. We got the Shoveler, we got Mr. Furious, and we got the Blue Raja, and they do a terrible job, and then Captain Amazing comes in, saves the day. He's being interviewed. Nobody pays attention to them. And then he finds out he's lost his Pepsi sponsorship, that there's no more supervillains anymore. And then they go to Casanova Frankenstein, and he's on his 17th parole hearing, and they end up, Captain Amazing's Jack London comes, I think is his name, and says, or London something, and says, hey, he's clear from Captain Amazing said so. And he frees him just so he can have a nemesis, and then he blows up the asylum.
He blows up the asylum. And then, Captain Amazing comes and he like... he traps him with the chloroform thing.
Yep.
And then he gets him underground. He says tomorrow at midnight, but which turns into like 5 days later. I think.
Seems like it.
Yeah. And then Ben Stiller like follows him there and like figures out what's going on. So he goes back and he's like, we gotta like stop this. And then
their main plan is to roll up next to them and start attacking the car.
Yep.
And then they need to recruit more that's after they recruit more superheroes. So they're like, we got to get more superheroes on our team. It's not the three of us aren't enough, because they go there to try and stop them and they get their asses handed to them.
By the disco guys.
By the disco guys. And so then they go recruit more superheroes. They got the Waffler, Dane Cook shows up, Pencilhead, a few other people, and then Janine Garofalo shows up with her her dad's head in a bowling ball, and it's supernatural.
Oh, but they've also before this they've gone to Kel Mitchell and they've gotten him, even though he doesn't seem to have any superpowers. And then Paul Rubin shows up at the diner and he's like, I want to be in on this. And they're like, you're not in on this, but he's in on it.
Yep.
And then the 5 of them are somehow the decision-making body.
Yeah.
But Janine Garofalo shows up way late, and they decide to let her in.
Yep.
And then the car thing.
Then the car thing happens where they basically just attack the car and drive off.
Yep.
And apparently their car is bulletproof somehow because they unload on it, the 2 disco guys. They go back and regroup. They're having a moment of doubt. They meet the Sphinx. The Sphinx starts training them. Ben Stiller gets pissed off, doesn't want to do this group think exercise anymore. He comes. Then they all get.
Well, he goes back to the restaurant, and the waitress is like, you got to go back to your friends, like, be you. And he's like, okay. So he goes back.
I'm
and
nobody.
Like,
And then they go to Tom Waits to get all these weird weapons that make no sense. And then they go storm the castle or the mansion, whatever it is. And they have like a gun that makes people blame each other. They have a gun that shrinks your clothing. And then they attack and blah, blah, blah. They're all fighting. And then the dad's head blasts everything. And then they throw Casanova into the thing and he gets transmorphosized or whatever. And then they're heroes again after they kill Greg Kinnear, which I think we said in there. And hey, we
must
win.
have been in there, right?
We win. It must have been in there, right? Yeah. All right.
I love that each weapon, it seems like, can only be used once.
Apparently. And it also seems like... It also, like, that's where it lost me. The weapons aren't funny. Like, I wanted to be like, because so much of the first hour to me is hilarious. But then when the weapons come, it's like shrinking your clothes and like blaming each other. Like, and when they're like introducing all the rival let's start in the beginning because I'm going to get carried away.
That's a great place to start.
You know, it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
This old folks party is hilarious in the beginning. I hope I'm that
bizarre.
I hope I'm that awesome at when I'm an old person.
Which one are you talking about?
All of them.
Okay,
They're
not the
all-
weapons guy who's just like trying to...
Not the weird weapons
Okay.
guy. Which, you know, in that scene I read that Tom Waits is doing all these weird hands gestures in it. And if you look on his hand, all of his lines are written on there because he couldn't remember them because it's gibberish. And so he kept like going like, man, and if you look, he looks at his hand a bunch. It's interesting. It was interesting to me. This old folks party, it's like Eyes Wide Shut minus the naked people and just a whole lot of weird stuff going on.
Yeah.
Weird stuff.
Sure.
And then, like I said, this director, it seems like he was borrowing from Joel Schumacher's Batman and a little bit of Terry Gilliam because some of the angles do that like extreme, weird kind of close-up low angle that Terry Gilliam always does. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of that style, which I was digging the style of it at first. And then the mystery men come in and try is the operative word to save the day because clip number 1 has Ben Stiller getting angry. Can we play clip number 1?
People who don't close their mouths when they chew make me furious.
And of course he falls on the ground. Now here's the thing. None of the robbers that he's about to attack are eating.
No.
So feasibly that statement means he's going to attack all the old people.
Well, I think he's just manufacturing this right
Okay,
now. He's
okay,
like
yeah.
trying to build up some sort of energy to fight these low-level criminals.
Yeah, just arbitrary reasons to get mad. You know, things that one of my closest buddies, whenever I'd eat cereal around him.
Which was all the time.
Well,
right?
like, you know, you have sleepovers when you're kids and you play video games all night and then you wake up and you eat like Lucky Charms. He would eat his cereal and like a little bit of milk would always, and he'd go like, and like go and like drip and then he'd go,
Like a little
and
spittle?
it would drive me insane. It would like, I even as like a 7-year-old kid, I just like that, stop. You know, I get furious about it.
Sure.
See there, I get so furious from the little milk spittle. I'm just like, do you have a hole in your bottom lip? What's happening there?
What if he did?
You're right.
And you're bottom lip hole shaming.
You're right.
Your good friend who relies
That's
on you
why I
for
didn't mention
emotional
his name.
support. Yeah. My goodness. You would also think that just like criminal activity would make him furious.
Yeah.
As a do-gooding superhero.
People robbing from old people, just trying to have a crazy, kinky, weird party
Yeah.
make me furious.
Yeah, that would make me furious. I wouldn't have to like move to open mouth chewing.
Yeah, you know what else? Another thing I read, the director has been quoted to say that halfway through the filming of this movie, he said he's going to go back to directing commercials because he doesn't want to have to deal with his nonsense anymore. I feel like you feel a lot of that. You feel a lot of disparate tones and opinions happening
Yes.
during this movie.
Yes.
And sometimes it gels and most of the time it doesn't. I already said Captain Amazing comes in, whoops everybody's ass. The shoveler accidentally hits Ben Stiller, Mr. Furious in the face. The Blue Raja, he is very good with his forks.
I mean, they come out with speed.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I mean, except he accidentally has a spoon in the first scene.
Right. I don't know why.
So our first intro to him, he's already messing up and having a spoon in there. Like, why is that even in your collection?
Why even bring a spoon? Yeah. You should only have forks.
And he always brings his own silverware to diners because he doesn't trust they've washed them properly.
I mean, I guess, but now they're sticking people.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't use a fork after it pierce someone's skin.
Here's the other thing. Does he get them back, or does he just have a limitless supply of...
He must get them back.
I don't think so. Maybe he just goes to, like, antique place or, like, just, like, garage sales and buys forks. Because how is he going to go around pulling forks out of, like, bad dudes' asses and stuff?
Well, they don't get a lot of work, these guys.
You're right.
I don't know how much he's actually pulling out.
You're right.
Yeah. It's intentionally phrased.
Anyways, so then the cops are making fun of the mystery man, and Captain Amazing's getting all the attention. And there's this this is one of those moments where Ben Stiller shines for me, where he's kind of more understated and trying to be cool and trying to tell off these police. In clip number 2.
Dream on. I will keep dreaming. I will keep dreaming, my friend. And when I wake up, you better hope. You better hope you're asleep. Sweet dreams. Immature. Lilac.
That's excellent.
See, I love that kind of stuff because it seems vulnerable. It's not like super over the top. It's like, man, I'm just trying to be cool right now because I'm trying to help people, and you're really embarrassing me in front of my friends.
Yeah.
My favorite is Sweet Dreams. Drive a truck through the pause.
Sweet dreams. Immature. Lilac.
You hear like dialogue in the background between it.
I said that, I said a similar thing to a florist once.
Did you?
When I was asking if there's any kind of flowers that can help with sleep. And he said to just sprinkle some lilac petals on my pillow. And I did, and woke up the next morning and I said, sweet dreams, lilac. That's all right. We'll get it next time.
Lilac.
There it is. There it is.
There we go.
My favorite part about this whole sequence is that the cops are just so belittling of these, and it's like, where the hell were you?
Yeah.
Cops.
Come on.
Like, you're just protecting the exterior? What's going on with you guys?
I mean, yeah. What a bunch of jerks.
Like, no one even tried.
They
the
didn't.
only people that tried were Ben Stiller and his motley crew.
It's because it's like that thing that happens where they rely on the superheroes then after a while. They
but
just
then
get
why?
lazy.
But why be that way towards them then? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to be antagonistic. They're doing your work.
Are they?
I mean, they're trying. They're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying harder than you are.
Yeah,
I
there
know
you
that
go. I'll
much.
give you that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that. So then we find out that, like I said, the Pepsi endorsement, I don't know why I keep mentioning Pepsi. You'd think they were endorsing us.
No, we are endorsed by Uptime.
Uptime! I drank an entire Uptime. If I start talking even more caffeinated, it's all natural caffeine, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, I'm getting so angry on caffeine. There we go.
Nice. What is happening?
I have no idea. There was a lot that just happened that I don't understand. Kind of like parts of this movie. That's what I was doing.
Oh.
I was doing a performance art version
What
of
a
the
fun tie-in.
second act of this movie as a commercial for Uptime.
Got it. Okay.
Got it, yeah.
All right. Now that I understand it, it checks out.
I did what the X-Men franchise did, which is where I just kind of like make up how it all fits in afterwards.
Oh, okay. That I don't understand that reference. I haven't seen Dark Phoenix.
It was fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's a supervillain list that I really love between Ricky Jay, the late great magician Ricky Jay, and Captain Amazing. And some of these names are super fantastic. Can we play clip number 3?
You want big news, you have to have big fights. A superhero needs a supervillain, and thanks to you, we've got none left.
Then get the Deathman.
Deathman is dead.
Okay. Father Doom.
Life without parole. Apocalypto's doing 50 years, Armageddon's in exile, Baron von Chaos got the chair.
Really?
Casanova Frankenstein is locked up in a nut house.
Casanova Frankenstein. Now there was a supervillain.
Or Argesmo. What was it?
I don't know.
Argesmo? I don't know. They were all such bizarre.
Armageddon's in exile, Baron von Chaos.
Argesmo.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I loved the first one was
Deathman.
Deathman? Oh, he's dead. It was so good.
And another bit of trivia was that they picked Casanova Frankenstein. The producers or the director and everybody are pretty sure that they just picked it because they like the name.
That's a good name.
Like they didn't really. There's all kinds of weird things in there. Which we'll get to the party, because apparently there's a lot more characters in there than we actually meet when they're auditioning people. But did you know that the 3 main characters in this are based on the 3 old men of DC's Justice Society of America? The Shoveler is the original Flash, Jay Garrick. Blue Raja is the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott. And Mr. Furious is Wildcat, Ted Grant.
Yeah, of course I knew that.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Anyways, a little trivia for you today. Casanova Frankenstein. That's a good name.
It is a good name.
I wish he did more than just have giant, long cocaine fingernails.
Right. Yes. I wish. I wish a lot of things about him. Actually, I wish that
why doesn't he shoot them out or something? I don't know what his abilities are.
I don't know what his abilities are. I don't know what his goal is necessarily. I guess
he's just going to destroy
the city.
Whenever people want to destroy things in these, I know this is a comedy, but whenever any superhero movie ever has I'm going to destroy the world motive, or I'm going to destroy the city, what fun is that? Because then what do you do once everything's gone? You don't have any more money, you don't have any more people to steal from, to lord over, to make work for you, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Mind control would make more sense.
Yeah. And then he, the first thing he does is blows up the insane asylum, which apparently is a castle.
In the middle of it's like Alcatraz is a castle.
Yeah. And nobody is investigating this. Everyone's just well, they were crazy. I don't know what to tell you.
Again, where are the cops?
Yeah.
You're right. That's a great, because the only person who's onto him is Ben Stiller after Captain Amazing.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and
doesn't make any sense.
Everyone else is just well, we live in a world where there's very little crime. And just an enormous crime happened.
But I guess maybe in their mind, they're
I don't know.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
It's if Arkham blew up, they'd be
I guess so. But there are still people who work there that I guess you would be concerned about, right? There are innocents running around. Also, all life is valuable, right? They presumably are trying to rehabilitate people in this place.
Some of them for sure are worth it.
Yeah, let's have some concern for the human condition here.
Yeah, not all of them are complete maniac mass murderers, I'm sure.
I also wonder what the cycle is for his parole hearings, if he's been in there 20 years and he's had 17 parole hearings.
What is the cycle?
Yeah, I don't know. But
once every year and 1 month?
Maybe.
I don't know math.
Maybe they waited 3 years before they gave him his first one.
I think that's what it was. His crimes were too bad in the beginning. So I love this moment that when Captain Amazing comes in and reads his grocery list and does this eloquent letter saying why Casanova Frankenstein. Again, Greg Kinnear kills it in this movie.
But also,
he's hilarious.
I think the best part of this is when he pulls it out and goes to read it and then turns it over like it was upside down and then just improvises the whole thing.
It's so good. Yeah. I love that moment. Lance Hunt is his name. And there's this great moment between, I didn't pull the clip because it was a little long, between them where Ben Stiller's Lance Hunt is Captain Amazing. And William H. Macy and I think Blue Raja, both the Shoveler and Blue Raja are really? No, Lance Hunt has glasses.
Right.
Captain Amazing doesn't. And that's something that I've always loved about when people make fun of that convention. Because Superman, it's just the most ridiculous thing ever that nobody, but it came out of, the 30s or whatever.
Sure.
And so it's, we've evolved a little bit since then.
It is funny how how defensive he got. And he's no, he wouldn't be able to see.
It's so good.
That's so idiotic.
Their prescription, obviously.
He wouldn't be able to see.
So then Casanova gets out, blows up the asylum, and then Captain Amazing immediately comes to confront him, which seemingly would mean he was going to arrest him again right away. So it didn't really... It's just a big PR stunt.
It's very unclear what his plan was, because if it was a PR stunt, I feel like he would have brought some cameras with him, or at least alerted the authorities. But he just shows up solo.
There's a lot of half-baked ideas in this.
Yeah.
Can we play clip number 4 when they have a little tete-a-tete?
Your first night of freedom and you blow up the asylum. Interesting choice. I knew you couldn't change.
I knew you'd notice that.
Oh, I know that. And I knew you'd know I'd know you knew.
But I didn't. I only knew that you'd know that I knew. Did you know that?
Of course.
See, I like the kind of ridiculous wordplay. When that stuff happens in this, when it's more subtle, ridiculous, classic comedy jokes, like that moment's so fun. And Greg Kinnear just goes like, and you can hear, I love that you can always hear his super leathery outfit, like, in every scene he's in. How'd you know to pull that? I love it. Ryan killing it with the sound bites.
Like, I know they're gonna say something about this suit.
I'm just living here, you guys.
I'm just living,
Nice.
just doing what I do.
That's all you can do, man.
And then the oh god, Mr. Furious's boss at the junket.
Yeah.
Junket. She scares me so much. She's so mean.
Yeah.
And so frightening. And I like that his big standoff to her is squeezing the stress ball like, yeah, you're lucky that was here.
Right.
Again, he just has so much misplaced anger at everything, and he can't do anything about it.
He doesn't. He's unable to, I would
Take
argue.
a Tybo class.
Right, yes.
Go talk to Billy Blanks.
Sure.
You know? Get your Tybo on.
Sure, go to one of those like destruction rooms.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
Is that a thing?
Yeah, where you could like
that
smash electronics and
Is
stuff
that
like
real?
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So from what I understand, it sounds awesome, but you get tired in like 15 seconds.
Oh yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
Because like just there was one time where we were like, oh, we're gonna film smashing an old tube TV in slow motion because it'll look cool, and it takes a lot to destroy those big ass things, and we're like,
This is why I could never be a lumberjack.
yeah. So you couldn't go the path of Dexter then.
No.
Spoiler alert: he ends up a lumberjack.
No, don't even get to that point. Stop after season 4. You're fine.
Please. Anyways, so then there's a couple moments. We already talked about the laughing and the bloody tissue shooting out, which I think is funny. And he says another instance when Ben Stiller has a really funny joke to me is when she's like, oh, what kind of motorcycle do you drive? And he's like, it's a Harley. Well, Harley compatible.
Yeah, Harley
Like,
compatible.
that's great.
Such a funny joke.
That's a great joke.
Yeah.
Those little moments are hilarious to me. They go to meet Kel, the invisible boy, and he has a funny line to his mom where he's like, hey, Mom, I'm going to my room with 3 strange men.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff is hilarious. And then his big thing is he's like, I'm invisible, but only when no one's looking at me and I'm not looking in the mirror. And they're like, wait, so how do you know you're invisible if no one can see it? And so I thought the payoff to that was going to be he actually can't become invisible. Right. Because later on when he's like, nobody look at me, jumping way ahead, and there's this random beam that disintegrates you if you run and it spots you when Casanova's hiding in his lair. I thought it would be hilarious if he got zapped and incinerated.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
especially since they'd already killed Captain Amazing.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, anyone can die.
And then I was like, oh, wait. Oh, no, just randomly he actually is invisible? Like he actually has this superpower?
Right, but apparently they had to like do some maneuvering with this because apparently his version of invisible makes his clothes fall off, which doesn't make any sense.
Because it would be like the Invisible Man where
Right.
he's just walking with clothing.
Right.
He would have to strip down.
Yeah, it would take a little more time.
So he's not just Invisible Boy. He
disappears.
He just he's no longer a physical presence at all.
But he is able to, in his invisible state, flip this switch.
None of this makes any sense. Just disintegrate him. It would have been funnier. So then we meet the spleen, and I know you hate him.
Oh, boy.
But I love the spleen origin story. Can we play clip number 5?
Why you guys always dissing me? It hurts my feelings. I'm a superhero too. I have powers. Really? Oh, like what? Ooh, so glad you asked. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Well, it all started when I was just 13 years of age.
13.
While walking with some friends, I accidentally cut the cheese. Well, in my adolescent awkwardness, I blamed it on an old gypsy woman who happened to be passing by. Big mistake! The gypsy woman placed a curse upon my head. Because I'd smelt it, she decreed I would forevermore be he who does it!
That's so dumb.
So dumb.
I recognize that that's so dumb, but it made me laugh so hard.
So dumb.
But then as soon as he like farts and people pass out, I don't think it's funny anymore.
Right.
But like that monologue cracks me up so much. But yeah, the actual like trajectory aiming his farts at people, I was like, all right, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I would forever be he who does it. I just love that.
Be he who does it!
You know,
Oh, man.
There's a man in Vegas, blackjack dealer.
Yeah.
And he had been there for 52 years. He was in his 80s.
Wow.
And he said that a long time ago, he realized his calling in life would be that he would be forever the one who dealt it. Be he who dealt it, right?
And would forevermore.
Yeah!
Be he who dealt it!
Yeah! We'll get there.
Yeah, I from time to time will fly, right? I'll be on airplanes.
Just every once in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while. Not like my person, but like
Yeah.
I'll be in an airplane.
Yep.
And I like to shorten words. So if I'm like flying Southwest, I'll be like flying south,
Yep.
right? And I signed up for one of those credit cards, the airline credit cards. And I was like, oh, now that I'm signed up, now I'm going to get frequent flyer miles only on Delta. So from now on,
He who dealt it!
I would be he who dealt it.
You are he. I love what
That was a stretch.
I love when I can't figure it out, and then as soon as I do, I'm like waiting. I'm like, yep, now I know where you're going with this.
There it is.
Let's see. So then they have tryouts where they have Ballerina Man, which is another like super. In the 90s, there was this whole trend of like, men that do stuff like ballet, or like the Ace Ventura joke where like the worst thing that could ever happen to the entire police force is they kissed a hot woman that it turns out was a
Right.
man. It's like, so that joke made me a little
And they're also like
uncomfortable.
Con Air. There was a big one there.
Yeah, there was a very effeminate character that was like, hey guys, I'm just with all the prisoners. And it's like, ooh, the 90s, we weren't really thinking. At least we can look back and cringe now.
Yeah.
Because the Ballerina Man, I'm like, he's actually probably very skilled to...
Oh yeah, he would be useful for
He'd
sure.
be more useful than most of
Yeah,
you.
pretty flexible.
But they're
You can
like-
get places.
I don't know. That ballet stuff doesn't look manly to me.
I love that clearly they had a pool location because Kel was like, it would be cool if we did this at a pool. Like that's a literal line that he has, and then they do it at the pool.
Yeah. So and the PMS Avenger was another one that's a little questionable, where it's like, hey, I only work 4 days a month. Any problem with that? No, women are goofy, right? But there's all kinds of other. Before we get to the Waffler clip, there's a bunch of other people that we didn't meet. Power women. There's two of them. They get in a cat fight. There's Super Vac Man, the Reverse Psychologist, Mr. Pups, Waffler, Ballerina Man, Mailman, Pencil Man, although he calls himself Pencil Head on accident, Son of Pencil Man, Little Miss Vengeance, Squeegee Man, Maintainer, the Artiste, Big Billy Hillbilly, PMS Avenger, Radio Man, Two Pigs, Martial Artist, Gorilla, Evil Devil Woman, Global Man, Gardener, Bullfighter, Stilt Man, Fisherman, and Thirsty Man.
How about that?
We only meet about 3 of those.
Yeah.
That was my big problem with that scene. I was like, just blow through some more. Like, I want to see some more ridiculous
I want to see
superheroes.
Thirsty Man.
I want to know what Thirsty Man is. Is he just asking for a cup of water? Is that his superpower?
You can't.
He's
your
just
power can't be a
dehydrated?
deficiency. That's a tough one.
Guys, I distract everyone with how dehydrated I am. But let's do some classic Dane Cook being Dane Cook with clip number 6, please.
All right, state your name and power. I am the Waffler. With my griddle of justice, I bash the enemy in the head, or I burn them like so. Oh, don't do that. I also have my truth syrup, which is low fat, and I've been working on a theme song, kind of a Waffle Man! I am the Waffler, golden crispy, bad guys are history, yeah! And I'm running, just think about it. Do you have a health plan, by the way? Maybe dental, eye?
Next.
I remember I was such a huge Dane Cook fan in college. Like, Dane Cook was college comedy for all of us.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, not all, I can't say all of us, but for me, and I saw him in Vegas, and I thought he was so funny. And then they reached a point where I was like, oh, he's just like being loud. And
He's just energy.
He's just pure energy.
He doesn't have a lot of jokes. He has a lot of energy.
But he knows how to perform.
Yeah, he's great.
And I actually, years later, after everybody had been shitting on him for years and being like, Dane Cook's not funny, Dane Cook steals jokes, my wife and I went to a Laugh Factory show, and he happened to pop by. And he did a super understated show of just like really dark stuff. And it was hilarious. But it wasn't like yelly or any of that stuff. But I remember he was like the guy we all quoted in college. Like,
Yeah.
I was washing a dish,
Right.
I was cleaning it, and I came out. I heard it, and I came out. Like, when you listen to he's just saying sentences, but in a goofy way.
He repeats, yeah. He does
But
a
it
lot of
worked
repeating.
back then somehow.
Yeah, well, he was if you go back and watch his like Comedy Central Presents or like his very early stuff, he's like extremely, extremely funny.
Yeah.
And like there's a reason that he became so popular.
I don't hate on Dane Cook.
Yeah.
I recognize that there was a point in my life where he was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
And it served a purpose then, you know, and good for him.
And this was just a little snippet.
There's a little snippet of that.
Little slice of life.
So Janine Garofalo comes in. We've said ad nauseum about the bowling ball, which is kind of ridiculous. I love Janine Garofalo.
I do want to say, because we're disproportionately going to spend a shorter amount of time on the second half of this movie.
Yeah.
So I do want
Which
to
is
get this
fine,
point
'cause-
in. It is fine. Janine Garofalo is very much part of this group. Yes.
Yes.
At the very end, when the reporter's like, this group of mystery men. And everyone's like, "Yup."
The 90s, bro.
Yeah. And they're all like, "Yep, that's us, the mystery men." And no one is like, "Are you cool with that?"
And Janine Garofalo's like, "Oh, it's the 90s."
Whatever. I'm going to grad school.
Yeah. Oh, whatever. I'm not sticking around with you guys.
This is not my thing.
Not my thing. My dad and I, we finished it. We're good.
I'm an independent contractor.
Yeah. So their first gig after this is to go just rough up the limo of Casanova Frankenstein, apparently. Just vandalize their limo, and that's it.
Yep.
Because they've already gone to the castle, got their asses whooped, and then they came back, they recruited people. So let's play clip number 7.
I don't like your tone, Frankenpuss. And do yourself a favor, don't punch my clock, because I'm a Pantera's box you do not want to open. It is Pandora. Please don't correct me. It sickens me.
See, that's really funny to me. Please don't correct me. It sickens me. Pantera's box. That's a good joke.
Yeah.
When he's trying to find words and he messes things up, that's hilarious.
Yes.
Like that's why almost every sound clip is Greg Kinnear or Ben Stiller for me.
Yeah, when he's trying to cover, when he's trying to be cool, when he's trying to like be someone that people look up to, it's hard for him and it's very funny.
Like you said, why isn't the shoveler the leader? He seems like the most level-headed and like martial arts skilled of. I use that term very loosely.
Sure.
Very loosely. I should say shovel art skilled.
Yeah.
You know, he seems like the leader. I don't know how they voted Ben Stiller.
Well, it seemed like Ben Stiller just took it. Like it seemed very important
He's
to
a
him.
baby.
Yeah.
He's a giant baby and he needs it. So there's this. The Sphinx comes in and saves the day after they corner him with all these guns. Like you said earlier, he cuts all their guns in half. Don't know how. And then there's all this. I love all the back and forth between. I didn't pull any of the sound clips. I should have. But there's a lot of really fun back and forth between Janine Garofalo and Ben Stiller. Where they're like, "Why don't you?" Where they're like both kind of getting more. They're trying to one up each other, and those are some really funny moments. The Sphinx just completely. He's like a Yoda, but like if Yoda and L. Ron Hubbard's bullshit phrases that he has in his books that are like completely obvious, which is a really random thing to mention. But years ago,
that concerns me.
years ago, I tried to do a man on the streets thing at the Scientology building when they were doing a Christmas thing, and there was a Santa there.
And now Ben has some stuff he wants to talk to you
And now
about.
I'd like to talk to you about Dianetics. No, but I sat on Santa's lap in front of the Scientology building, and we were filming this comedy video, and he gave me a book of L. Ron Hubbard quotations, and I started looking through it, and I'm like, well, yeah, all of this just is like none. What? It looks like you just pulled these out of fortune cookies. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Needless to say, I never posted it because I was genuinely afraid of the Church of Scientology.
Sure.
So I'm even afraid talking about it right now. So we're going to move on and pretend this never happened.
All right, that was a hypothetical.
That was a hypothetical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A hypothetical.
All of the hypotheticals. It was a hypothetical. So this is one of the Sphinx's things that he said that is confusing. Clip number 8.
He who questions training only trains himself at asking questions.
What?
Again, Ben Stiller killing it. What?
What?
That's half the movie. After the first half, I'm just like, whoa. The second half of the movie, I'm just like, what?
Right.
When they bring in all these weapons, there's the canned tornado, which is absurd. There's the shrinker, the blame shooter, and then they ship off for their operation, and there's all these bizarre bad gangs there. There's the frat boys with Michael Bay doing a cameo, asking if he could bring a brewski.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's there. The goody mob is there, but they're called the not so goody mob, which is how did that clear draft one?
I don't know. Big Tobacco was there.
It doesn't make any sense. There's a skunk that randomly shows up and humps the spleen's leg for like a 30-second scene.
That was weird.
Whenever that kind of stuff happens, I'm like, how did anyone, even on the day, think that that's where you could have trimmed out so much and made this a 90-minute tight, funny movie? Not that it's not funny, but the second hour is just like, oh God, we're still doing this.
Yeah.
They kill Captain Amazing on accident in this really funny sequence where it's like, flip the switch. He's like, which lever do I don't know. All right, I'll flip this one. And then he just gets melted. And it's super gross and ridiculous. They go back, they escape, they go back to the Sphinx and find out what the weapon is. To the weapons dealer guy. I forget what his name is, but Tom Waits. And Tom Waits describes the weapon. Ready for the psychofraculator? Clip number 9.
It's a psychofraculator. Creates a cloud of radically fluctuating free deviant chaotrons which penetrate the synaptic relays. It's concatenated with a synchronous transport switch. It creates a virtual tributary. It's focused onto a biobolic reflector. What happens is that hallucinations become reality. And the brain is literally fried from within.
All right.
Sure.
Another metaphor for the second half of this movie.
Sure.
Hallucinations become reality.
All right.
This is when the Blue Raja comes out to his mother as a superhero. This happens. They all go home, because at this point in the movie, we need it to be longer. So they all go home and say their final goodbyes to everyone. And
I'm a superhero, mother. A superhero? An effete British superhero, to be precise. I am pilfering your tableware because I heard it. I heard it with a deadly accuracy. The Blue Raja is my name, and yes, I know I don't wear much blue and I speak in a British accent, but if you know your history, it really does make perfect sense. The point is, your boy's a limey fork flinger. Mother hard cheese to swallow, I know, but there it is. What will the Bridge Club think?
What will the Bridge Club think? A limey fork flinger. I wish that was his name. Limey fork flinger.
Would have made more sense.
Say that 3 times fast. Limey fork flinger. Limey fork. Like you can't
do it.
It's impossible. So there's this big battle. It's ridiculous. I don't like most of what happens here because it just gets so stupid. Like shrinking these nunchuck wearing girls' dresses. They don't wear nunchucks. They're wearing dresses and flinging nunchucks around.
Says you.
They get their dresses shrunk and everybody's like, ooh. And you're like, oh God, here we go. The goody mob gets blamed and they start fighting each other. Who cares? Anyways, there's this big battle of nonsense where basically my brain got psychofraculated at the end, like Tom Waits says. And then there's a standoff where Mr. Furious finally becomes furious and starts whooping his ass. And my favorite move is when he puts his elbow up to him and just hammers his hand away. And he's like, whoa. I'm going to try that next time I'm in a fight, which will be never.
Next time you're in the booth.
There's all kinds of ridiculous stuff. And then when Mr. Furious throws Frankenstein into the psychofraculator and he gets fraculated, this is his end line to him. Clip 11.
Frack you later, Frankenpuss.
Which would have been awesome if he didn't already say Frankenpuss
many
earlier.
times.
It's like that was... I feel like Ben Stiller had to have given them different ad-libs and they just kept those for some reason.
Maybe.
Frank you later, Frankenpuss. So then the bowling ball saves the day. She throws the bowling ball. The dad's spiritual head destroys everything, and then they all become...
And somehow the bowling ball comes back to her?
Yeah, but it's super smoky.
Yeah, but
Don't
he's still a living dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
It blows up. At this point, we've all been psychofraculated.
Sure.
Hey, this movie, like I said, the first hour, I really enjoyed. The second hour, there's moments I liked. If you want to see a reboot of this, watch Kick-Ass. That's what I recommend.
That's good advice.
I'd love to know what your thoughts are for Mystery Men. I almost forgot what this movie Mystery Men. And in case, we could use a little help around here. If you want to comment on our YouTube page, that helps. If you want to go on iTunes and leave us a review, that helps knock us up in the rungs of the iTunes podcast world. So just also tweet at us your suggestions. We love that. We're at Guilty Movie Guys, at Guilty Movie Guys. Check us out there. We love your suggestions because let's face it, we've been doing this so long, I forget what movies are anymore.
35 years.
35
this
years we've been doing it, and we've had 17 parole hearings during that. So until next time, Jesse, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse, and for Sketch at The Prom Losers.
You can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram, and again at Guilty Movie Guys. Until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.